foreign key or referential integrity key can you find it from here?
Social security number from enroll
Social security number from enroll
to student.
to one in student group. And what else?
Course number.
Course number
Course.
in course number course?
No. And
From
Oh
enroll
yes,
to
enroll. That should be in the course number in course. What else?
course number in book.
Course number in book. Yes. That should be what else?
Book IS and
Book ISBN. In book adaptation should in the book underbar ISBN in text. You should be careful which one is a reference to which one is a referencing. Okay,
Always primary is the
yeah, primary key is reference. That's good indication. Okay. And anything else? Somebody may be curious. What about the quarter? Quarter can be foreign key or not? Quarter.
one.
No. Why? First, it should be primary, right? But is quarter primary key?
no.
No. So they cannot be. So in other words, if you want to change some information about quarter, right, that sometimes you use Q1, sometimes quarter 1, you need to change both of them. Sometimes it can be different values. Yes, it's possible. To address that, if you have more information about the quarter, you should create quarter relation. Then quarter ID, primary key, and another information. Then you can refer this way. Do you understand the foreign key? So that's the thing. Another thing that I'd like to mention over here is, for example, there is a relation that is not connected. In other words, there is no foreign key relationship with others. Okay? Suppose that. So we do not have foreign key in Hexagon from nor to. What does that mean? Does it make sense? In terms of the relational database model, it doesn't make sense. But sometimes you have such a thing. That means if you have such an isolated relation, that means this one is another database. Different meaning. Or sometimes you have two groups. This one has the connected, this one has the connected database. That means you have two different databases. Okay? Also, one more thing. What if there's a course number and, for example, quarter is a composite primary key? Why is it still a little bit shaking? Is it something? Right? It's a little bit shaky. It's a whiteboard or a project. Anyway, so we have course number quarter and course number we have quarter. At that time it should be composite foreign key. If target referenced one is composite, it cannot be one by one. That doesn't make sense. Because primary key can be composite primary key, like this one. At the time, it should be composite foreign key. Okay? Then we are going to move to the next chapter. I'm using different order of the different from the order in textbook. Yes.
When is the attribute underlined?
Underline. Good question. When we can underline?
It's a key.
It's a key. Primary.
Key and primary key.
No, it's a primary key.
Prime.
In terms of a relational database model, it should be primary key.
So the coder.
Or so in this case it's actually connected. Okay? This is not social security number, not we have a 3 primary key. No.
Only one.
Yeah, only one. That should be connected. Okay? Sorry for the confusion. Do you understand what he is asking? So in this case, how many primary key for enroll? One primary key. It's a composite key. Composite primary key. We need 3 attributes to make them unique. This one, we need 2 attributes to make unique. That's the primary key. Yes.
Excuse me?
Yes.
So the foreign key for book adoption and
Group
enroll.
adoption course number. That should refer this one, not this. Okay? That because it's a primary key. So from course number to course number in course.
So if the primary key is one key and the foreign key is a composite key, I can have 1-to-1.
No. But if the primary key is course number
uh-huh.
plus quarter, then it's a
The
group
foreign key,
SO
uh-huh,
group.
okay.
Okay? So later you will see, we will discuss a little bit. In case composite primary key is a little bit hard to understand, hard to manage. So at that time we can make pseudo column or virtual column for primary key, like the inner ID instead of this one. We will see, not right now. So let's have the quick quiz. Otherwise, you should do homework, but I don't think you will do homework very well. I don't will finish in the classroom. It's not difficult one. And the question is, we have very simple database schema without foreign key. Why don't you find the foreign key first? Based on what? If you have any description from your customer or me, you can use them, but here, no. That means common sense, using your common sense. Then, draw relational schema diagram. You can use this notation, like this one. This is a relational schema diagram. Then, number 3 is a populate. Populate means create some sample data. Okay? Sample data. At that time, not randomly create. You need to consider primary key constraint. And the key constraint, entity integrity constraint, and foreign key constraint. Okay? Why don't you create this few example tuples? Yes.
Draw or this?
Whatever, you can just specify. You can use arrow, you can draw, it doesn't matter. Based on that, why don't you draw the relational schema diagram in number 2, like this style. Anyone who ordered iPhone 5? No?
We have 4S. This one
Excuse me?
is not different. Only
Yeah,
it's
many people
thinner
say it's
and
not much different, only the little bit, the longer,
higher.
yeah, higher.
Because of the LEDs.
Mhm. I not a big fan of the Apple product.
You like?
I like the
You like
some
some
interface, but I can use most of the teaching material and some program are in my old laptop, so I don't want to migrate all of them into the. I have the MacBook and the not iPhone, iPod, but I gave them to my wife and my kids. But I'm thinking to try the new iPhone, not right now. One of the benefits of using the iOS is iOS actually based on the Linux. If you are familiar with the Linux, it's very easy to maintain or something. Then the most difficult thing is getting used to new interface. But very good. But we do not have enough time, so why don't you quit? Okay? It's a take-home quiz. Okay? And please do not see the key solution until you finish. Okay? I believe you. You can see. But I omit the. Oh yes, you can pick up later after class. So number 3, I omit. So I will grade the number 3. So why don't you bring the answer, your quiz, by next class Monday. Okay? You're almost done. So please fill out the number 3. Okay? So you can pick up your friends. So after class. Then let's move to the next class. Next. What's the title? ER and ER, two relational model mapping. So we learned ER model. Right? It looks like this kind of ER diagram and relational model. That is this kind of thing, right? Are they same? ER model and relational model? It's quite similar, but anyway it's different. ER model is from information. We'd like to a little bit massage and organize, but it can be used for any application. It's not only for computer or database, but also can be used for the business or some other stuff, right? Even for your organization of your file or your life or whatever. So this is a ER model. So it's very far from the computer data structure. So we learned about the relational database model. That's very close to the data structure used in computer. And if we have such a thing, it's not very difficult to create the database on your computer. We can just follow this one. Let me. I should get this code because it's my one.
What?
Otherwise, she will kill me. Anyway, is that true? Really? Should I get? I'd like to ignore. Anyway, this is a ER model, so this is close to human being, and this one is close to the computer. But we don't discuss about how to bridge. Anyway, they are different. So in this chapter, we are going to learn how convert, map, or change from ER modeling to relational database model. If we can do successfully this step, then first we have the information requirement, like your phase 1. Then in your phase 2, I think that you are doing phase 2. Phase 2 you can do ER or ER modeling. Okay? Then you have the, for example, ER schema, ER diagram. Then if we have the solution to convert ER to relational model, then you will have relational schema diagram. Then using this one, you can create the table using DBMS. That will be discussed later, but it's not very difficult. We will learn next class, and during October you will learn how to use Oracle for example. That's an example database. So this chapter will discuss about this one. Is it very difficult? No. If you understand both of them, it's just step by step. What is the step? It's total 9 steps, from step 1, step 2, and step 9. It's a straightforward. There's no complicated logic or algorithm. Just follow the step. It's not rocket science. Okay. First, regular entity time. Entity time is this one. You probably thought when you learn the relational model and ER model, entity is almost the same as a relation. Is it a relation? Right? It can be a relation. So entity is a relation in terms of a relational model with what? Primary key and attribute. So you can automatically convert each entity as a relation. That's it. You need to select primary key. You need to select attribute. Sometimes you have multiple key. Sometimes you do not have key. In case you do not have key, don't do that right now. Only the entity, it has one or more keys. Then convert it into a relation with a key. Then, one thing you need to do is to select one key as primary key. How can you select? We already discussed. Also, you need to think about the performance also. If you have the string key, this is a string, character, this is number, which one is better? The number is better to process in efficiency. Why? Can you guess how the system computer can check the uniqueness? Primary key? How can you? If you are asked, why don't you implement the primary key? How can you implement? Check everything. That's too brute force way. Takes a longer time. You need sort the data. Sorting. You need to sort. Like for the key, you need to sort all the data. Then check whether the new data existing or not. Whether there exists duplicate data. Which are not allowed here. So when you sort the data, number or character, which one will be faster? Definitely number will be faster because anyway you need to convert this one into the ASCII code or something code. Then so we are going to use such a one of the key as a primary key with attribute. That is the first step. Simple. So our goal is from this kind of ER diagram to this. Whether or not you realize, we already did. So we learned this one, and we learn this one. Then we are going to learn the step how to convert. The first step is simple, we can convert to this. So you have something, for example, here. First, we have the employee, right? We have department, we have project. Anything else? This one is the weak entity. So weak entity we will consider later. So this is the employee. Then what can be the key? Primary key. Social security number, no problem. There's no doubt. And B-Day. And what about the name? We cannot create the attribute, composite attribute. That doesn't make sense, right? Because each value should be atomic. So we can create first name, middle name initial, last name. Use only this child attribute. Okay, then so on. Somebody may be curious. I try to use the name instead of this one. Name. Okay? ONGKYULEE. For example. Does it make sense? Yes, you can do that. At that time, Jongyu Lee is atomic value. You cannot divide it. And so one whole value. How can you decide which one is better? First name, last name, middle name, initial, or whole name?
It depends.
Depends on one.
On the requirement.
Requirement and your application. If your application access a lot, first name, or last name only, or middle name initial, you do better? Separate. Use only this one. Otherwise, whole name is enough. Address is the same. If you sometimes you can create address attribute, or you can create string number, string name. If you below implement the, do you know the Zillow.com? Zillow. If you go to the Zillow.com, you can search house. You can sell your house. You can see, for example, when you are looking for the new apartment, you probably use online site. Such a site, real estate site or apartment.com, they need details of address, right? So at the time you can separate. So it depends. There are many depending on. It's your job. So we can have the first name, middle name initial, last name, and so on. And the department, same thing. What is the key? Primary key.
Number.
Name and number. Both of them? No, we need to select one of them. If I were designer, I'd like to go for the name. Oh no, number. Number will be efficient and much easier to manage. So D and O. Another problem is the naming. You'd better use the first name that can explain the meaning of the attribute. But not very complicated, not very simple. One time when I consult one of the database in the small company where there is no administrator. When I open the database, it has T1, T2, T3, T4 tables. And when I open the T1, C1, C2, C3 column name. Pretty much when you test, when you learn the new, so you will use such a simple. No, definitely
It's
not.
also difficult to search.
Yes. No, I don't know which one is it, which. So even documentation, no documentation, no explanation about the schema. So it's very hard to manage. Also, I'm using the attribute for department name and blah 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 blah. It's 100 bytes. No, that's not very efficient. So try to find such a efficient name. unfortunately, there is no standard for naming, unlike object-oriented programming others. But each project, or depending on project manager, they have their own the naming rule. You'd better find if there exists. Otherwise, you'd better have your own naming rule. But first thing is that each name should represent the meaning of them, but not duplicate with others. So DNO and DName, we can use the name, but I'd like to use the prefix of this department name, DName. And we don't know location yet, because it's not single value. So we will take care later. And project. Same thing. P number. I try to use it as a and P name. And in this case, there's a single attribute. We can use the location. Let's say that is the first step. Second step is weak entity. What is weak entity? Entity but without
Unique.
key, unique key. How did you address that problem? You borrow the key of identifying relationship. Okay?
You should include the
Yes.
SSN.
So here, create a relation with attribute. Yes, it's the same, but for primary key, you need to get the this one, identifying relation primary key. Make the primary key and create what? Foreign key. Corresponding foreign key plus foreign key. Then CD then
So what?
dependent. We can create the key. Partial key is the dependent name. Dependent name. But we need to borrow the key of identifying relationship, social security number. That is the SSN. So SSN, or you can make the ESSN. Then it will be composite primary key like this. They say no, not that. This ESSN should exist in depend include. So create foreign key. That is one more thing. Foreign key. Then the other,
ESSN.
it doesn't matter, ESSN, SSN, or dependent SSN, but I'd like to use the ESSN. Then employ SSN, then create the foreign key. Okay? So that's the second step. So pretty much it's the same as this one. But step 3 to 5 deal with relationship. So step 3, one-to-one relationship. For example, here, which one is one-to-one relationship? Manage. Any idea? There are 3 options to deal with one-to-one relationship. Option 1, option 2, option 3. First option is use foreign key relationship. For example, employ to department. Department has the manager social security number. We just create the attribute for the department. Manager social, not on the bar. Make confused. Manager social security number, then create foreign key to this. This is the first option. Then, what about the start date? Start date goes to this one or this one? It's a manager starting date, right? Not all employee has the starting date. So it doesn't matter actually, goes to this, but you'd better keep starting date over here. Otherwise, if you have the 1 million of employees, many of them will be null data. So we will create the start date over here. This is the first option. Second option is merge. Why? Because it's a one-to-one. Why don't we combine employee and department